Hey guys, welcome back to the Saltcast. Today we have no Alex, so it's just me and Bishton.
This is our first time without him, even though it's been like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, so it might be a bit clunky, but we'll make it work. Today we're going to be talking about Fenrir.
Nope.
Frieren.
French fry?
Frieren. What is it? The Journey Beyond? Some anime.
know the subtitle
Beyond
thing.
Journey's End. That's what it is.
Frieren. The weird spelled elf girl.
Yeah.
French fry.
So we figured since Alex is gone for a couple of weeks, we figured we'd try to fill in some of the gaps with an anime, since we rarely get to actually talk about them.
Yeah, so probably this week and next week, and then at that point we'll just see how many episodes in we are and see where we're going from there.
Yeah, we watched the first 6 of this. We're going to talk about them, really. I don't really know how to...
Let's start with why did we pick this anime? Now, 2 things first before we say the exact reason, because technically Bert picked it. But I've heard about this. I've been hearing about this anime for a while. I remember people being like, "Oh, it's really good. It's super cool." And I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe I'll look at it eventually." So when you mentioned it, I was like, "Damn, that is a great option."
Yeah, so the reason I found it, or how I found it, was through TikTok. I was just kind of scrolling through one night, and I saw a clip from a later episode, and it just looked cool. And I was like, huh. So then I looked into it a bit more, and I heard more good things about it. So I was like,
yeah, I mean, I had
put this
heard
on the watch list.
Nothing about like the specific story itself, just that it's really good, and it was like the hip thing recently last season. I heard
the fight scenes were good.
At least in the first 6 episodes, there's only like 2 fights, and they're not really like huge fights. But it's not really like, at least for me, it doesn't seem like the kind of show you watch for the fights.
Yeah, I'm starting to get it. Like, I think they reel you in with the initial like demon lord aspect, but then it quickly becomes something else, and I'm enjoying it.
I love it. Based on the first 6 episodes, it could definitely drop off still. I wouldn't say that it's like God tier yet, because 6 episodes is like, it's set itself up to be God tier, but it could be disappointing still. But so far, 0 failure on its way to victory.
Mm-hmm. Especially because I believe there's a total of 28 episodes.
I think so, yeah.
So we're not even a fourth of the way through.
I also, don't tell me, I don't actually want to know if you do know, but I wonder if it ends or if it's like season and there's going to be another season. Just something I wonder. I don't want to know.
Like if they end it with like setting up for a season 2.
Yeah, I kind of hope it doesn't, because like I'm like, at least for me, I feel like those animes that are like 12 to maybe you could say 32-ish. 32 is kind of on the long side, but those like normally 12 to 24, 28 episodes, like when it's like that short, condensed, good story with an end, it's like, oh, that's good. That's great.
I feel like when they make them a bit longer, it gives them enough time to give a fleshed out story where they don't really need to do a season 2.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta see though. Maybe my mind will change depending on where I'm at further in this, because I'm only 6 in.
Maybe they ended up like setting up some god tiered season 2 point where it's like, I can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah, who knows for sure. But man, I really, really like it. I think that just starting on episode 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the things that happen in episode 1, it's like, it's so weird because it's like sad, but not like crying sad, more like, damn, that's sad, you know?
It's just, it's warming. It's like a reminiscent sad.
Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, it's just like deep, you know? It's not like you're gonna start crying, but it's like, fuck, that's sad.
Yeah. I think it does it's like almost like the brutal reality of the passage of time.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what the whole, at least based on the first 6 episodes, that seems to be the theme of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they do it so well. Like, it's so freaking good.
It really is.
Not only that, but like, just in terms of like the setting, right? Is what is like medieval world type stuff. I feel like this is the fantasy. But I feel like this is the most realistic version of that I've ever seen.
I think the relationships are the most realistic.
Yeah, I don't know. It just
I feel like the world, even the world, and like the way history gets established.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like things happen and you're like, yeah, this. It's not like there's not stuff that happens where you're like, all right, it's a show, I just gotta be like whatever. It's like, yeah, that actually makes sense. Everything is like, it's so good. I feel like it's so well thought out and it's just deep, like all the time. My God,
especially with like the spells.
Yes, and with like the well, that's later. That's like episode 3 or 4 or something like that.
Somewhere around there.
Holy crap, though. So it starts off a lot different than like your normal, adventure, medieval anime type thing, because it's like starting off after the other stuff would have ended, Yeah,
it's like post-Demon Lord death.
Yeah, it's like they won already. And then the whole point of the show is that the main character, French Fry, she's an elf that like lives for unknown amounts of time, at least 1,000 years, probably more. But she lives for many years, 1,000 plus years. That is just, I guess, the norm with elves, and in this world, and her. Well, normally
they
like,
live a long time, but not this long.
Depends on like the universe, like Lord of the Rings, right? Did the same thing. Elves live for like thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
But so the thing of the story is that her and her like group of adventurers that she was with saved the world, killed the Demon King, whatever it was called. And the show picks up with them getting back from that adventure. They're like, yeah, we did it. We're celebrating. They all celebrate and they go their separate ways. And she's like, what's that?
You gotta talk about the meteor shower and like her comment she made before they went their separate ways.
Go for it.
So before they so when they were celebrating, like a meteor shower happened, and it was a big deal because it's like happened once every 50 years. Yes. So the hero was like, what a great like way to start off this era of peace with this like beautiful shower, like meteor shower.
Yeah, and she's like, well, it's not like, that great from in the city.
The site's mid. I'll show you a better one in 50 years.
Yeah, and then like, he just laughs and he's like, yeah, okay, next time in 50 years. They're all like 30s, mid 30s, probably early 30s. Yeah. So 50 years, they're 70s to 80.
Plus it's like medieval times.
Yeah. So
she doesn't really understand age in the passage of time because she's an elf, and when you live for so long, time gets kind of weird.
Yeah, not only that, and then there's other like just casual mentions that show like her not understanding the passage of time with like, they're like, man, that adventure was crazy. Like, I feel so close to you guys now after 10 years of an adventure to spend together. And she's like, what do you mean? It was only 10 years.
It was a short trip.
Yeah, that reminds me of an episode like 5 or 6. She's like, another brief 10-year trip.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, they finish their main thing. That's how the show starts. The heroes are like, okay, let's go our separate ways. Hopefully we'll see you again in 50 years. They come back together in 50 years, and she's like shocked how they're all so old. And she's like, wow, I knew humans aged fast, but wow. So, like, she realizes that their lives are pretty much over. But it's, like, so... I don't know, like, it sounds simple when you say it, but, like, when you're watching it, it's, like, so deep, I feel like.
She almost, like... she realized how much of their lives she's missed because of her not understanding how time works for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. And like then this guy, this Himmel is like kind of
Himmel the hero.
He's like the main character of a different show. It almost is like he's like the guy that was perfect in every way. He was the hero.
He's the hero.
Yeah, of their adventure, the main person in their party, and she was like the supporting character of like what happened before this show starts.
I feel like a lot of the times
he has done so well though. Like, you know how, like most of the time I absolutely freaking hate when they have like this is that perfect character, like freaking Captain America. He's like, you're the perfect guy, annoying. Or whatever. It's Cyclops, right? Except Cyclops has actually been pretty good lately, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's true.
But normally I absolutely hate this is the perfect good guy character. But I feel like it's done so well here with this guy. I guess because you don't spend so much time with him.
Well, that, and plus you've like, even like his irredeemable character traits sort of have some redeeming qualities to them. Like his exceptions with his looks.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
And like he like the way he behaves, like he cares about Frieren and stuff.
About all of them, their whole party of 4.
Like it truly was like a family
to them, yeah. Except to French Fry.
Yeah, she didn't really.
The thing is that's cool about it, and it seems like this is the whole point of the entire story, is as you're going through the episode, she's like, oh, it was only 10 years, you know, it wasn't that big a deal. And within that group, everyone's like, man, that was most of our lives. That was the biggest thing we've ever done.
Except
like,
the dwarf.
This is a big deal. But then as you go through these episodes with her, you're like watching her realize that actually it did mean something to her. But she didn't know that it did. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that lies in the fact that since she lives for so long, she probably like connects the dots on things like this a lot slower.
Yeah, maybe.
Like since she had some time to think about it, and she's starting to see like reminders of the memory and like the fact that it existed and stuff. It's probably like starting to stir thoughts in her head and make her quite question and like want to know more about. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
I don't really know how else to word it.
I know what you mean. I just think it's so cool to like watch a character realize that they cared about something, even though they didn't think they did.
Yeah, it is. And
cool. It's like, but it's done like so slowly and so like not in your face, but so interestingly.
It's like that's the whole point of the anime, is her figuring out how much it actually meant to her.
Yeah, because once they all meet up again after 50 years, she realizes they're old. They go out, they see the meteor shower again, and the main guy, Himmel, he dies.
The next day.
Yeah, he was like just waiting for that day to like go with them, and then he like lets himself die right after.
And
like that's all he was living
his last
for.
adventure.
Yeah. And then like it's so freaking good. Then they go like through his funeral and all that, and she's just standing there straight face, and everyone's like, wow, that girl doesn't even care, like how terrible. Until like later on you get to they're burying his coffin in like the next scene or 2 scenes later. Mm-hmm. And that's when she just like starts losing it, and she's like, I can't believe I didn't like get to know anything about him.
She has regrets.
It was so freaking cool. I loved it.
It was.
And that's all just episode 1.
I know.
The thing about this show, at least for the first 2 episodes, like they were so not like sad, like you're gonna freaking cry, but like just so emotional and like, wow, that's pretty deep. That I was heavy. Like, yeah, I watched one and I was like, okay, I need a break. Like I really liked that, but I can't just like go episode to episode. And that was for the first 2, because episode 2 was just as deep, I feel like, as episode 1. After that, it starts being a little more like less intense, and I was able to like watch them back to back.
Yeah, but the first 2, they were heavy watches. They were emotionally taxing for sure. in a
yeah,
good
that's
way.
true. No, yeah, it was good, but I was like, holy crap, I need a break after that. That was crazy. Because then we get to episode 2, and man, just the way they frame the show actually shows you like that this Himmel the adventurer,
Himmel the hero.
Yeah, the hero is like basically the main character, because the way they like show the passage of time is always relative to his death, right?
Yeah,
so
like that's how their calendar works now.
Yeah, it's almost like he's the Jesus of this world.
I mean, he kind of was their hero.
Yeah, right? Because now, like, just to us, as it's shown, they're like, I think at this point, we now come 20 years. It's like 20 years after the death of Himmel the hero. And French Fry is going to see, like, her friends again, because as they all last saw at his funeral, like, they all split up, expecting not to see each other again, like, because she's freaking gonna live a million years. She's like, they'll probably all be dead. They're like, we'll probably be dead by the time we see you again. So the priest is like, bye.
Bring me a bottle of or alcohol next time. Or to my grave.
To his grave. And then she dedicates her life now to like exploring and discovering like what matters about humans, because she's like interested in that now after realizing that I guess their lives matter. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. She's like, huh, they actually care about things.
Yeah, she's like, I need to learn more about humans. So she spends 15 to 20 years until eventually she goes back to meet the homie, the priest. And she goes and sees him, and he's old, super old now. And she's like, wow, this guy's probably almost dead too.
That was absolutely what she was thinking.
I would have been thinking that, but it's so crazy because he's like totally different now, because throughout all their adventures he was like this alcoholic, just like jokey guy,
terrible priest,
and now all of a sudden he's like this wise old man, and she's like, I thought you would be dead soon, so I brought some alcohol, and he's like, well, I gave it up actually. Like, he's just so different after 20 years. She's like, can't believe you're still alive.
Yeah, he's like, I aged well.
And he has like this little girl with him now, and she's like, huh, that's weird, why would he have a little girl? Who is that? And she's just some girl that I saved because her parents were like murdered in some like battle or something. I can't remember exactly.
I think it was like something like that.
Yeah, so dang, this shit got so set, like it almost feels like multiple episodes. So much happened in the second episode.
I know. I feel like it's spilling over, but it's not.
Yeah, because like just with the way it ends, like so much freaking happens in this episode. But it's weird because it actually feels like it goes at a pretty slow pace. But then you get to the end of the episode and you're like, holy shit, a lot happened.
I know. Like, you look back, it's So but it does it such a good job. But I feel like that is a compliment, because it's able to exposition
totally is.
So much, and it doesn't feel like it was a lecture. It was like, huh.
Yeah.
That was enjoyable.
So she shows up there and she's like, I want to like do something for my friends before they die, like I should have with Himmel. So like, is there anything you need? And he's like, I want you to take this little girl, Fern. Stupid ass name, but okay, sure.
Fern, yeah.
Fern, and teach her magic. Be your apprentice. And she's like, I can't do that. She'll just die if she comes with me. And he's like, okay, that's reasonable. How about you translate, transcribe. That's the word. Yes. Transcribe this book for me. Maybe it'll have spells to
mortality.
Yeah, keep me alive longer, bring back the dead, or stop me from dying. And she's like, what? I thought you said you weren't scared of dying. And he's like, no, I'm terrified.
Well, we're kind of like, the way he pivoted the questions, it was almost like you were like listening, you could have guessed what he was planning.
Yeah,
from that, and kind of like from there.
He basically told her he was scared, but clearly he is probably scared, but that wasn't his main drive.
He's more scared of leaving the little girl behind, Fern.
Yeah, I mean, but he is also scared to die, but that's not his driving factor in this plan.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, fine. It'll only take me like 5 years. That's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, okay.
And then he's like, in the meantime, do you mind training Fern like any spells that you see fit?
And she's like, yeah, I guess if I'm here for 5 years.
Might as well.
So then she goes and talks to Fern. No, then she meets Fern pretty much for the first time, and Fern's like on this cliff, and she's like, he said if I can destroy this boulder on the other side that I'll be like a true mage.
Well, first she was surprised that she got found.
Yes, that's true, actually. She's like, I can't believe you found me. And she's like, I'm surprised I could barely sense you. Because turns out this girl's like amazing at controlling her magic or something.
Yeah.
And then she's like, so you said if I can hit that rock that I'll be a true mage. And then it was actually crazy how this happened. Because then she just blasts off this magic. And it was like way like more intense than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, me too.
I was like,
that was like a little fireball, but it was like some nuke almost going on.
Yeah, but she can't reach across like this chasm yet, and she's like, I can't do it. My magic keeps dissipating. So then she's like, well, let me help you. And basically she's like telling her this is going to be a long process. Like, you need to have patience with yourself, and you can see Fern gets a little bit sad.
You're lacking capacity. Which,
yeah.
You can see only time can fix.
Yeah, you can see she gets a little sad, but she doesn't say anything, and you're like, wonder why. And then it keeps going. And then it's just like you said, a montage. Occasionally they train, occasionally she's transcribing, occasionally they're all hanging out, going swimming or picking flowers or something. Just showing that they've lived together for
5 years.
I think it's about 5 years, yeah. Until we like stop the flashback, and she's obviously older now. She's not a baby anymore. I think she's like at this point probably 14 or 15.
I think so.
Because I know she's 16 when the adventure like really kicks off.
So I would say probably 14.
Yeah. So yeah, she's probably about 14. She still can't reach the boulder. And then I can't remember what... Oh, okay, I do remember. So then French Fry is sitting down transcribing this book. She's like, I'm almost done. No, I'm sorry. What's the guy's name? Heiter? I think Heiter is like the priest. He comes in and
a nickname for him.
What?
I can't think of it though.
How do you? It's not a good nickname then.
I just can't think of it. It's like, I'll find it. Keep talking.
Okay, so anyways, we'll probably go more in depth about these first two than the other ones, because these are like the really intense, deep ones where a lot of shit happens. But anyways, so he comes in and she's like, I'm almost done with this book, but I don't think it's going to have anything about immortality or bringing people back from the dead. And then he's like, he said, and then he gives her an answer that she's like not really expecting. He's like, whatever, how about, yeah. So then she says, whatever, how about, he says, whatever, how about, Fern? And she's like, what? That has nothing to do with the book. But she's like, yeah, she's all right. She's not ready yet, though.
Good mage.
No, she doesn't say she's a mage yet.
Does she not? Oh, yeah.
She's like, she's not ready yet. I'll probably finish this book before she's a true mage. And he's like, Then he collapses, and it's like, damn, this guy, it's time. He's out of here. Then they take him to like this bed, and he's like, I'm lucky I stayed up this long. I don't have much time left. And she's like, I'll hurry on the book. And he's like, cool, thanks. So then French Fry goes to see Fern, and Fern is still out there practicing her magic. And she's like, Fern, I need you to come back and watch him while I transcribe this thing because he collapsed. And then Fern's like, I still can't reach. And she's like, you can practice it another time. You'll get it eventually. And then Fern, this was a great ass scene. I loved this scene. Then Fern, like, for the first time, actually becomes a character and, like, has a huge moment here, I feel like. And in 2 episodes, and I'm already like, wow, what a great moment for Fern, is insane.
Yeah, that is true.
So then Fern's like, no, eventually's not enough. And then she does the freaking Arthur with the clenched fist meme. If you know, you know.
Yeah, she actually does.
And then she's like crying, and she's like, I need to finish this before Heiter dies. Like, I want him to see me become a true mage. And then it goes to this flashback, which also was freaking god tier. She's like, he saved my life. And it shows how Fern met Heiter. And like, her town was wiped out and her parents were killed, and she was about to kill herself jumping off this cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Really insane, honestly. This shit's deep as hell.
It really is.
And then he gives like this great ass speech. I don't remember the exact words, but his basic like thing about it, he was like, it'd be a waste for you to die, because if you have like memories and stories with people that you cared about that are no longer here and you die, then they die with you, and there's nothing to pass along that memory of the people you knew.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, damn, I'm only like 2, but that's deep. And she doesn't kill herself.
This show hits home with the importance of like memories
For
and like
real.
living in the moment and experiencing
And what's crazy
life.
about this is that he says that to her, but that's clearly, like, obviously he doesn't want this little girl to die, but that's also clearly what he is trying to do with the memories of his friends, passing them to this little girl.
Yeah. It's
And then
like,
she's like, okay, I won't kill myself. And then she goes with him. And it was so good though. Like, it's just the way it's done in the show is so freaking like amazing to watch. Like, explaining it, I feel like does not do it justice.
no, we're really not doing it justice.
It's so freaking good. And then so she's like crying because she doesn't think she's gonna finish in time. She needs to freaking become a true mage. She's like, I need to pay him back and show him that saving me wasn't worthless and that I can survive on my own. I wanted to show him that I'm a true mage and can like take care of myself before he dies. And it's like, damn. Fern's my favorite
Shit cuts
character, I
deep.
think. I think
Yeah,
Fern
I
is
do
my
like
favorite
Fern.
character.
She's funny.
Fern is so good. So, and then French Fry is like, okay, I get it. Good luck. Remember everything I taught you? Get that rock. And she heads back. And then I'm not sure how much time goes by. Probably like a couple months or something now. Not years, right?
I would say time. Yeah, I'd say days, if that.
Yeah, maybe weeks to months
Yeah.
go by. And the priest is now bedridden, so he's in the bed. She's still transcribing, and she's like, I finally transcribed it. It's done. There's nothing in here to help you. And he's like, what about Fern? And she's like, I think she's a true mage now.
No, she didn't say it like that. He was asking about Fern. And he was like, so how's Fern doing? She's like, well, I think she's grown into quite a good mage. And then he was like, so she is a mage now, so she can go with you.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much a trick.
It's like, she can't hold you back anymore now that she's a true mage. She's like, she has a lot to learn, but she is definitely a capable mage.
Yeah, she won't be a complete hindrance.
And then she's like, you tricked me. And he's like, well, now you have to take her. And she's like, but I thought you were scared to die. He's like, yeah, I'm scared to die, but you know, sometimes you gotta. I'm just happy that looks like she'll be okay, either on her own or with you, because she's so Fern is also now incredibly powerful.
Yeah. I don't
cool.
think even Fern understands how powerful she is.
Yeah, I don't know. So, and then she's like, so why did you save Fern? And the flashbacks are so goddamn good in this show.
They feel like
Every single
another
time.
anime.
It's so freaking good. And it's like, why did you save it? And he has a flashback. The priest has a flashback to seeing Himmel, the hero, say, like, help this little kid. And he's like, that's what he would have done. That's why I saved her. And he's like, man, he's like, it would be way more worth it for the world if I died and Himmel was still here. So I'm going to try and, like, pass on his memory through my actions, which is, like, basically the reason he saved this little girl.
Yeah. I think that's awesome, though.
That's so cool. It's awesome. So he saved her, and he's like, I need you to leave, take Fern, I don't want her to see me die. And then French Fry has a god tier moment too. She's like, bitch, no. This girl needs to enjoy her last days, week, however long you're alive, and say goodbye to you. And then I think it's only a couple days, maybe 1 or 2, at most a week, that he's still alive. And like you see him and Fern like talking while he's in bed and stuff, and then he eventually dies. And then French Fry and Fern go on their adventure together, which they don't really have a destination. They're just collecting magical spells.
Yeah, they just kind of wander. They do odd jobs to make money, and they want to collect spells because that's French Fry's hobby.
Yeah. So episode 3, the first 2 episodes are packed. So much happens in them. Episode 3, they're all packed, I guess, but like
the main 1 and 2 set up the like context in the world for the rest of the episodes, and like give almost like a history lesson.
I actually think 1 and 2 more set up the characters, and then the following episodes set up the world a bit more.
I'd agree, but that's a better way to it. Yeah.
Because in episode 3, they're just going around collecting magical spells, and they come across like a old town that Himmel, the hero, and his party, which was her and the priest and the dwarf, 50, 70 years ago, I think at this point. 77 years ago, because then it goes ahead another 2-3 years, something like that, from the priest's death.
So now the mage, like the Fern is what, 16?
Yeah, I think so. Fern is 16, and they're just collecting spells, and they come across an old town that they had been to in French Fry's previous adventuring years, 50 or 70 years ago. And there's like an old Himmel statue, and she's like, let me fix this up. I want to get and then they like put flowers around it, but she's like, I want to put the flower of his hometown. And this is where I think it starts to show that she actually cares about her old party more than she thought, because if she didn't care, she wouldn't fucking remember some dumb shit like this guy's favorite flower.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think she was almost surprised that she remembered herself.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, and plus I feel like in like the way they did it in the episode, like they asked what flower should she put here, and she almost just kind of like instinctively responded with whatever the name of the flower was. Yeah, it's got to be this.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, like a white something, but
it's blue.
The whole episode is them looking for this, like it's an old extinct flower, or allegedly extinct flower that no one's seen for 20 years or something, because they want to put it around his statue. Because
Fern or French Fry can recreate it if she's able to see it, but she has to see it.
My God, you know what else is so freaking cool here? And you only realize this in the next episode, but it's like she's collecting spells, and Fern's like, why are we collecting such weird spells, like remove rust and turn grapes sour thing? And then you find out in the next
hit home.
Yes, then you find out in the next episode that she was collecting these spells because these were things that her friends used to like.
Yeah, it was her. She got a compliment from the hero from her spells because like he thought they were cool.
Yeah,
and
but
so she took it like so then she started collecting spells to get compliments from her friends. And then the cool thing is that the dwarf likes sour grapes, and she collected a spell that turns grapes sour.
Yes, and then she notices these statues of Himmel that are rusty, so she collects like these remove rust from statues spell, like very specific spells. And what's cool about it though is that it's like casually mentioned, and you don't realize it until following episodes or later on that that's what it was for, because you're not even told that this dwarf likes sour grapes until an episode or two later.
And they don't even like, they just mention in conversation.
Yeah, and it's not even this episode. And then and then it's like, holy shit, is that why she got the sour grape spell? Like,
that's her way of caring.
It's so cool. It's so freaking cool. I love it. So yeah, they're just looking around for this flower, and then you see there's like a cool thing going on between French Fry and Fern, because French Fry is now needing to learn that, all of the time because she's spending, months, 6 months, I think, looking for this flower, and Fern's like, yo, I don't have 50 years to waste on stuff like you do.
Yeah, like, my time is important.
Yeah.
Or limited.
So that's a cool thing there too, and I think French Fry starts to realize that, like,
She's
over
understanding.
time. She understands it, and I think she actually gets better with it in later episodes than she does in this one. But she's like, okay, that's reasonable, sure. They eventually find the flower, and it's like, oh yeah, we found the flower. This is so beautiful. And then
It's actually so cool how they found it though, because they use like the wildlife to almost. Because like how squirrels like bury seeds and stuff.
yes,
They use that fact to like explain away how the flower was found, even though it like disappeared 20 years ago, because some squirrels buried it in like the top of a tower, and it was just forgotten about. And they followed the squirrels back to the tower after it stole some seeds in the earlier episode, like earlier in the episode.
yeah,
I just think
it's
that's
really cool. It is cool. So it's like a fun episode. It's really mostly just showing the bonding that's happened between French Fry and Fern, because at this point they've now been together for 7 years, 5 of them with Heiter and now 2 alone. So pretty freaking cool. And it just is like, huh, that's nice. I like that. Dang, you know what else happens actually? I'm like, these episodes are packed, because the killing and defense spell also happens in episode 3.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It feels like 2 episodes.
It really does.
So then this was probably my favorite freaking part so far of the show. I think this is my favorite part so far. So after they do that, they're still traveling along. And Frieren's like, or Fern's like, where are we going? And she's like, well, you'll see. They get to this town, and they knew she was coming, and she's like, weird that they knew I was coming. And they're like, oh, Himmel the hero used to come here every year until he died, and he said that once this was getting serious, you'd be here to like reseal this super evil lord that the heroes fought 70 years ago. And yeah. And then Fern's like, what? Why didn't you defeat him? If you, why seal him? And she's like, I couldn't. He was too strong. And then you're like, holy shit. Now you're telling me he was too strong for you and the whole party, and now you're going to go up against him with just Fern?
I know, pretty much, yeah. And
I was like, ugh, not a great plan. But it ended up being God tier the way it worked out, because the you see, like, earlier on in the episode, they're practicing their defense magic, and she's like, and I love the way this was shown too, like how the defense works, because she's like, Fern, defend against this, and Fern does like basically a wall, and she shoots at it, and she's like, okay, that worked, now try this. And then French Fry shoots around the wall, and she's like, I just went around it, what are you gonna do now? And then she's like, okay, well, I'll put a whole bubble around me. And then she's like, okay, that works, but now you're too tired and you would die. You have to do it in like this really badass looking way. She's like, it's just gonna have to be quick reaction, only blocking in the spots that you're getting hit.
Do you think she almost like lets her eyes unfocus and just relies on pure instinct?
I think she just pulls out her Sharingan.
She almost have to.
There's a scene later on that looks so goddamn cool. Like she pulled out a Sharingan. So anyways, that's just like your lore, a little bit about these defense magic. And then she's like, so we're gonna have to go against this this demon tomorrow. And Fern's like, I don't know if we can do this. If you couldn't beat him, like, how are we gonna do this? And then French Fries like, clearly you weren't reading your history book, so you'd know. And it's like, what is she talking about? I'm even thinking that at that point.
Yeah, me too.
It all just worked out perfectly though. Like everything was set up God tier. I loved it. So I'm just kind of like going a little bit quicker now. They eventually get to the part where they're ready to battle this. French Fry unseals him, and the main thing is this demon developed a intense, crazy killing spell that goes through armor, goes through defense, and it was like unstoppable.
It was like a Vada Kedavra, pretty much.
Yeah, so that's why they had to seal him.
Because they had no way to counter him.
Yeah, so now that she unseals him, and it's like, oh shit, this is bad. How are they gonna do it? And the guy's like, how long? And he was pretty. Honestly, he was pretty cool. I liked him for the.
He was like, how long was I here?
5 minutes he was in the show. I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, it's cool to see when, like, they don't see it often, but when beings that live long, like French fry, talk to each other,
like
they almost
how you
have like
calling it that.
It's just easier. They almost have like a different, like they almost, I don't know, like you can just tell they communicate differently with each other because of how long they live.
You know what? A good example of that too. Like at first, do you watch the dub or the sub?
The dub.
I actually watched all 6 episodes dubbed and subbed for the first 6 because I was like trying to decide. And at first I did not like French Fry's dub. I was like, man, she really sounds pretty emotionless, but that's the point. I get it now because there are moments where she starts to get emotion. So
one comment I want to make is I'm genuinely so happy they didn't make French Fry's like voice a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah,
like despite her having like a younger body.
Whoa, Bert.
Okay, like in the sense that she doesn't like she's small.
Whoa, Bert.
And like historic, you know what I'm trying to say. Stop making it sound like stop making it worse than it is. They could have done a little girl voice for the dub, and instead they chose an older woman's voice, and it just sounds so much better. And
yeah, I wasn't
honestly without like if it was a little girl's voice, it would have ruined the entire anime.
I don't know if it would have ruined the whole thing for me, but it definitely would have been weird.
Huge. It would have been. I would have had to watch it subbed.
But at first I was like, man, I really don't know if I like her being like just having no tone or anything. But then when you realize like that's her character, like that's the point, and that she develops her emotions over the show, it's like, damn, that's pretty cool. Anyways, though, so guy's unsealed. He's like, oh, only 70 years or 80 years or whatever it's been.
Short time for us.
Where's the Devil King? He's like, we killed him. She's like, guess I'll avenge him then. He prepares his super blast, and then she's like, Fern, block. It's just like a Pokemon battle.
Pretty much.
And then Fern pulls out a god tier block. Fern really carries here, honestly. But I guess, she was trained. So she's like, Fern, block. Fern blocks this, and then he's like, what? You blocked my like god tier unblockable spell?
I love this part.
And then Fern has a freaking like line that makes it all click, and she's like, what? That was just regular offensive magic. And then he's like, that must be a pretty advanced defense spell. And he's like saying the logistics. It takes my spell and disperses it instead of like fully just blocking it or something like that. And he's like, and then what's cool though is that this guy is not a dumbass either, because he's like, so that you must really use a lot of mana. He instantly figures out the weakness to this spell, to this defense spell. So he starts blasting his spell at them from all sides, and she's like, Fern, and Fern just knows what to do.
Pretty much.
Because it goes freaking block all over the place. And this is that Sharingan scene. It was so freaking good. And she's like, Fern, I need you to block for me too, so I can go on the offense. And then she's like blocking so much, and then this is where like it's revealed. He's like, how is this possible? And it turns out that this guy's just outdated.
No, yeah, kinda. So what happened is that his spell was genuinely so terrifying during the war that after he was sealed, they like the humanity devoted, they're like collectively like studied it and learned the entire spell that he was using inside and out, and they developed like defenses against it.
And it's so effective that it became like a common use spell. So that's why Fern's like, this is just normal offensive magic. Everyone uses this.
It became so well known and well studied that it just became common. His once unstoppable spell now is taught to children.
Over 80 years now it's just the norm. So then French Fry blasts him with it, and he's like, my own spell, no. It was freaking awesome. I loved it. And what's also cool about this is it shows a huge difference between like humanity and the elves, where like because the humans have this limited life where they can't just come back every 80 years and reseal this guy, they're like desperately working hard studying to get these major progressions in technology or studies of magic or whatever. Like she's like, man, humans really are incredible, aren't they?
Especially when they like collectively put their minds to something.
Yeah, because the elves live so long, they're not like
the elves
really as worried about figuring these things out.
Yeah.
At least I think that's what the point of that episode was.
No, I agree.
It was great. I loved it. That was probably my favorite cool. Like part so far.
I think it's so cool how like out of fear pretty much. You mean like how fast they progressed? Like even in the anime they were like they said in 80 short years because they're not like 80 years isn't long for him. Humanity overcame his greatest accomplishment.
Yeah. Good thing he wasn't around.
Yeah, good thing he was sealed.
So anyways, we continue on, and now French Fry goes to visit the dwarf. This episode also rocks. She goes and sees her old dwarf buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you're all that's left, me and you, of the old party. I want to know if there's anything you want. And he's like, do I want anything? It's just cool to see him because he's awesome, this dwarf guy.
He lives such a humble, simple life. You gotta love it. He lives in a little hole in the side of a hill.
Yeah, he wants to find like these old notes of a mage that actually ended up happening to be French Fry's old master like 1,000 years ago or something.
He wanted the real notes.
Yeah.
Because all the ones that exist in the world tend to be fake.
So they go and help him find these notes. Eventually they find them. I'm really rushing through this episode, but basically they find the notes and she's like, oh good, you found the notes now. But turns out he didn't want the notes for himself. He's like, I actually wanted to find these for you. And what these notes have in them is a way this was so freaking cool because he's like, I used to keep in contact with Heiter and we saw how you cried at the funeral and you clearly have regret. He's like, these notes have a way to speak to the dead so you can get to know Himmel one more time, ask him whatever you want.
And we even get a cut back to her and her master having a very similar conversation where they were like, her master was like, there will come a time when you realize you made a grave mistake and you forgot to like, you failed to get to know the people around you or something like that.
Yeah.
And then when you feel like bad about it, like, my notes got you.
Yeah, and then he's like, so is it in the notes? And she's like, it's here, and it was actually left open on this page. And it's like, damn, the master knew.
Mm-hmm.
And then also in this episode, there's another small part, because every freaking episode feels like 2 episodes, I'm realizing now, where they like clean up a beach in this old town.
Oh, well, one thing we should mention before that is where the book talks about is essentially heaven.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where the souls of this world go to rest. And apparently it's a physical place where living people can go visit. And her master went there and she wrote about it. And
yeah, pretty cool.
I think that's pretty much what French Fry's current goal is now.
Yeah, it does seem that way.
To heaven.
And it happens to be in the same Demon King castle that they went to, so it sets them on another 10-year journey now with
following the same
just
path.
French Fry and Fern this time. Because she's there like, will you come with us? He's like, I'm too old now, I can't. And they leave him. He's like, good luck.
Bring me back some stories.
Yeah, and then there's a section where they like clean this beach up. It's a really nice town, and it's like, why does she give a fuck about cleaning a beach? And this was really cool. It was just a little thing, but I still liked it. Where you find out that she wanted to clean this beach up because, years ago with her old party, they came here, and apparently, like, the sunset was sunrise was so amazing, and she missed it, and they're like, oh, you should have seen it. And she's like, I don't really care.
It's a tradition to see the sunrise on the New Year. And she as like established in the show, is not a morning person. Like it's hard to wake her up before noon.
Yeah.
So they cleaned this beach for this town because they want it to be nice before the new year. And she even asked Fern to help her. Like she wanted to stay awake the whole night so that way she could see the sunrise after they cleaned the beach. And it was Fern ended up having to help her and like dragged her out of bed essentially to see the sunrise. But she missed it the first time when she was with the heroes party because she overslept.
Yeah, no, it's not that she overslept. She just didn't even want to go. She didn't care.
Yeah, she didn't understand like the importance of it.
But they told her, they're like, we think you would have loved it. Like, we know you would have loved it. So now she happens to be back here, and she's like, well, I guess let's see if they're right. And then she sees it, and at first she's like, I don't really care for it. Then she looks at Fern's face, and Fern's enjoying it and smiling. And then she looks back with like now this new, seeing the view of the world kind of through Fern's eyes, and now it's beautiful all of a sudden. It was really cool.
Yeah. Well, because I guess in like, to Fern's perspective, it's such a limited thing.
Yeah. Also, just like, you go.
Even like people normally tend to hold the new year in like a high regard, like emotionally.
Yeah.
So it makes kind of sense.
So I also, just because so much freaking happens in this show, I forget. In episode 3, when they were doing their shopping trips.
Oh yeah, and it was her birthday.
Yeah, so she's like, Fern, you go buy her supplies, I'm gonna go buy stuff. Fern's like, she always buys useless junk, so she follows her. It's just like a little funny part. It's like so more lighthearted.
One thing I noticed is it kind of makes, so like French Fry normally wouldn't really be able to be followed, right? Because she would be able to detect people.
Yeah, only Fern could do that.
But only Fern could, is Fern's good at hiding her like presence.
Yeah. So she's following French Fry, seeing her buy all this stuff, and she's like, she's wasting all her money. This is bullshit. She's buying sugar I haven't seen a sweet in years. And there was also a really funny scene where they're like, anyone know where there's sweets? And she goes into like salty spittoon. It almost seems
the
like
sketchiest bar
with these
imaginable.
Like deadliest looking guys ever. But they end up being really nice and like dessert experts.
They're like, oh yeah, that's this place.
Turns out she
even comments it. She's like, I thought you guys were a bit rough.
Yeah.
To be in the dessert business.
Turns out she just wanted to buy Fern a birthday present and take her out for a dessert for her birthday, and it was really nice and awesome. Anyways, back to where we were. Episode 5. So episode 5, they're still traveling. They need to go through like this forest or something that show you ghosts of dead people. Yeah. That's how it starts off, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Fern sees Heiter, which actually I was not expecting. I thought it was going to be her parents. When it ended up being him, I was like, damn, this is probably worse, actually.
Yeah. Well, because like the ghosts get you to lower your guard so they can obviously kill you.
Yeah. So she kind of hesitated. And then French Fry saw Himmel, which also pretty awesome.
And it even surprised her, but she thought she was going to see her master.
Yeah, and what's awesome, he's even perfect in his fake version ghost. The ghost is like, just kill me.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta do it. This guy's awesome. Way better than Captain America. So, yeah, they end up blasting the ghost. It's not a big thing, but it's just, like, to show. But what matters about this situation is after they blast those ghosts and defeat them, the little town is saved. No one's worried about the ghosts anymore. There's a cool line from French Fry. She's like, if you want to see Heiter, let's keep going on our quest. If he's going to be anywhere, it's going to be in heaven. Mm-hmm. Which is cool because he always doubted. Like, there was this huge flashback thing where it's like, everyone was like, is there a heaven? And he's like, I think that there probably is.
There is.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And now that they know that there is, it'll be cool to see him there.
Right? Man, I really hope they get to go to heaven. Where it's real.
Yeah, right? So that kind of is the first half of this episode. Second half, they get to this dragon. This shit was so freaking funny, though. Oh my god.
Dragon tag.
They blast this dragon, and Fern's like, it didn't do anything. And French Fry goes, run. Yes. That was so funny. That was like, I thought that was hilarious. So they come across a dragon, they can't actually beat it. I was like, damn, they can't beat a dragon? Damn, that's surprising.
Yeah.
So then they're like, go to town. there's talking to all these people, and they're like, we're gonna need to find a warrior. Yeah, because we need someone to like basically aggro the dragons so we can fire off our best spells at it. And then French Fry is like, well, the dwarf told us his apprentice is here and he should be good. And there's like this really cool conversation between French Fry and the dwarf about the apprentice. Mm-hmm. And we kind of get flashbacks of it over time, like multiple times, a little bit more info here and there. So they go and find him. And the word around the town is apparently the dragon attacked the town, and this guy stood and faced it and scared it away, and it won't come back because the dragon's scared of him. But then they go and confront him. Turns out he froze. He was really scared. He didn't know what to do, and the dragon just happened to leave, and he got lucky. Yeah. And now everyone just thinks he's a hero. And then they're like, "Damn, that's disappointing. We needed a frontliner, not this." And that's how that episode ends. Then the next following episode picks up, and holy shit, this guy was introduced in the last half of the previous episode, and then he is in this whole episode, and he's already like such a good character.
Yeah. And they somehow introduce characters so perfectly.
Right? So like, what, French Fry and Fern are just walking around. They're like trying to figure out their plan or whatever, and there's like these loud noises going on. And they're like, huh, wonder what that is. It sounds like or Fern's like, wonder what that is, and she's like, and then French Fry's like, that's him practicing. Or that's him.
Probably
if you want to go find out, go look. So then French Fry goes to bed, Fern goes to see what's happening, and you see this guy, he's out there just like grinding away, practicing to try and get better.
He's carving through a mountain.
Yeah, and she's like, what? I thought this guy was supposed to be a wimp and useless. She's like, why are you practicing if you can't fight him? And he's like, because everyone thinks I'm a hero, and like if this town gets attacked, like, but the real reason this town's okay is because the dragon didn't feel like killing them yet.
They come back on a whim.
She's like, well, what do you do if the dragon comes back? And he's like, well, I would like to help, but I'll probably just run away. So very sad. This guy is basically pathetic, they're making it seem like. Mm-hmm. Next day comes. Well, no, him and Fern have a moment here where she's like, well, I think you would help. And she's basically like hyping him up, you know?
Yeah, she's trying.
Yeah, so then the next day comes, he was supposed to meet them, he didn't show up, and they're like, damn, I guess he ran away. This sucks, we're gonna have to do it on us. And then, then French Fry's like, I guess you're gonna have to fill in for him, and then she just grabs onto a tree, she's like, please no. But then he shows up, and he's like, I'm here. And he had oh man, this might be my second favorite moment, actually, because he had a god tier moment here. Where they show up, they're getting ready. She's like, he's like, you only need 30 seconds, right? Okay. And he's there, and he's like freaking out. He's so scared, and they're like, why are you shaking? He's like, because I'm terrified. I'm still going to do it, but I'm freaking out.
And it was just back to the dwarf.
Yeah, and then French Fry's like, you're just like him. He's like, what?
You're just like your master.
And it was so cool because then it does come back to the dwarf and to their adventures, and you could see when they were fighting the Demon King and all these like insanely crazy monsters, he was always scared, but he's like, oh, being scared isn't bad, you know, it's the reason I'm still alive, and it's just, you gotta push through it or something. Like, he said some really meaningful stuff. It was super cool.
And you see that super encouraging.
Yeah, and you like see these flashbacks to him telling French Fry about his his what do you call it, apprentice, and like how they fought and they left angry, and the apprentice had told Fern everything, which is cool, and then the master told French Fry everything, which is cool. So like everyone knows the story pretty much, but from different sides. So French Fry knows that the master like really was just pushing him hard because he knew he could do it, and Fern was like, maybe he's pushing you hard because French Fry does the same thing for me, like she doesn't help me sometimes because she thinks I can do it or something like that.
Yeah,
she's like, maybe you just need to be like put in that situation. And then he's like, well, I'm going to put myself in that situation, which is why he's terrified, but he still goes in there to fight this dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And he's supposed to distract it for 3 minutes or 30 seconds. And he's in there, and it just all of a sudden becomes this crazy, probably the most insane fight so far. He's just doing all these crazy moves. And he like gets a good hit on the dragon. He's like, now, and they won't do it. And he's like, what are you doing? I can't kill this thing on my own. And they're like, you did kill it on your own.
It's already dead.
I loved that. I loved that he accidentally killed it.
I do too. That's what I'm saying. I feel like Fern doesn't understand her own potential either.
Yeah, maybe.
Because her only other comparison for a mage, as of right now, is
like
French
God.
Fry. And French Fry has an insane amount of, like, her teacher was the original inventor of human magic.
But yeah, he takes it out. They basically, he's like, all right, I'll be in a party with you. I'll go to find heaven with you guys. 10 years. Let's do it. And it's like, they come to this town and they can't get through the gate to the north. So they're like, I guess we'll spend the night in this town.
One thing that's kind of cool, just to kind of go back a tiny bit, was just kind of like earlier, he was like, the reason why this dragon hasn't attacked was solely out of like, because it hasn't wanted to.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
That the reason why it hasn't attacked the town was because of him and his presence. Because he was,
yeah, like, because when he first pulls up to the dragon, now ready to fight it, it doesn't attack him. And Fern's like, why isn't it attacking him? And then French Fry's like, because dragons are smart. They know he's a powerful enemy. So yeah, you do realize, even though he was scared last time, the dragon knew it shouldn't fuck with him, and that's why it left, actually, originally. So even though he was scared, the fact that he was there was enough last time. So he did actually save the town before, even if he didn't think he did.
He just didn't have confidence in himself.
It was awesome. It was so good. But anyway, so now they're in this other town, and it's basically just like a bonding montage between Fern and, I forget his name, Stark, I think?
Stark.
They're just going around town, like trying to find a way to get through this this gate, so they don't have to wait here. Stuck. And they just bond with each other. And she's like, "Why are you in such a rush to help me? Like, it's almost like you're in more of a rush than me." And he's like, "'Cause I want to complete this quest and show my master that like I'm worth something before he dies." And like that's exactly what Fern was doing. So she's like, that's great. I love that. And they bond, and then everything turns out fine, because at the end of the day, they're like, holy shit, it's the French Fry. We'll let you through. Go to the north, save the world. Good luck out there. And everyone has a party.
They get a hero send off. And it's kind of cool.
Then the guy's like, is this what it was like for Master? And then Fern's like, it was.
Yeah, and she said it was kind of like
not Fern, French Fry.
Like a reminiscent like smile to it too. And then I think we actually get a cut back to the hero's party.
Yes, there's a second of them all walking through, and then it cuts back to now. She's the leader of this party, and she has Fern and Stark.
Yeah. It's almost like echoes of the past members.
There are so many echoes of the past, and they're so freaking good. I love it. So great show. Cool. And that's the end of episode 6. And now they're starting a 10-year journey. I believe we have the party together now. Maybe we'll get one more character soon. I'm not sure.
I feel like we need a healer. Right?
Yeah. I don't know. Because it would be kind of weird, because that is probably also magic, right? And they didn't have a healer before.
The
priest, I guess. But they have 2 mages now, you know? Like 3 magic seems kind of weird.
That is true.
I think they're good. Maybe another fighter or something. But there's not a character I dislike. I love the new party. Fern is probably my favorite character.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's a good show. I like it.
I'll continue watching it so far.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Check it out. It's called French Fry.
It's called... I actually don't even know. Something Beyond Journey.
Frieren
Beyond Journey's End or something.
Yeah, it's good.
I said at the beginning.
At least up to episode 6, it's worth a watch. Hopefully it doesn't drop off.
I'd be so upset if it drops off, because, my gosh, I'm enjoying this anime.
Also, so just 2 side things. The music is insanely good, and the
art?
background landscapes are god tier.
I know. I love like the scenery is just so pleasant to look at.
Amazing. Great. Animation, I would say it's good. It's not like mind-blowing, but it's better than average.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it for French Fry. Yeah, hopefully this wasn't too bad. It was our first anime episode and our first episode with just the two of us.
Yeah.
We'll have one more of these next week, and then we'll let out a backlog episode of something. Not sure what yet. And then after that backlog episode, we'll come back to anime. So that's the plan.
Yes, thanks for listening. Keep it salty.